demos from people who've been people who've been teaching such courses, and then a panel discussion from folks who've been teaching such courses. Some of the lessons I think that came from that were all of us found ourselves in some sense surprised at how much insight for how many different types of audiences and how many different purposes we get by actually implementing things, running code, looking at plots, generating those plots. We found that these sort of applied courses or applied components to courses really invited a lot of exploration and were potentially a good preparation, both for students who are actually going to go off and do things with DP in the real world or who are more applied minded, but also maybe for theory students to sort of invite them to ask questions. So we had a fun discussion about that. Thanks for everybody who was there, and sorry for those who missed out.
Right. Yeah, so in the working group on privacy attacks and auditing, we had a very enthusiastic discussion about a paper repo that the group is working on that is aiming to systematize all of the literature on privacy attacks and auditing. There was a lot of great discussion, and we've put out a call for action for more people to join and make recommendations on what that paper repository might look like and how we might classify different types of privacy attacks and papers in a way that someone can later come along, look at the repository and try to match it to their particular use case and quickly find the relevant papers. So am I missing anything, James, that you want to throw in?
Speculative, longer range goals were
yes.
How to summarize that knowledge for people, particularly on the practitioner end that are new to this field.
Do you want to pass him the microphone?
Yeah.
All right, start.
Yeah.
Okay. What I learned was if you have recently torn your Achilles, you should not be the person who's running around the room trying to give the microphone to everybody. What we saw was there was some discussion about the as the repository grows and hopefully if it achieves its ambitions of being encyclopedic, then it is overwhelming. And we pointed to other work by Rachel Jayshree and others that are excellent sort of summaries for the academic audience and for the next person who's writing a theory paper in this space. But for practitioners, saying, hey, here's everything that's known in the world, go get to it. That's unviable. And you also wouldn't want to trust somebody who was, smart and understood DP, but new to the world of attacks to just plow right in. So how do you systematize that knowledge in a way that's approachable, that is high level, that points to the things that are generally well known, that points to the open problems, that sort of summarizes all of these are the things that you ought to do if you are trying to build a system to test empirically the leakage of your system. So writing that is a goal and a call to action. There was also some discussion about, can we build benchmarking systems? What does that involve in terms of data sets? What would a future benchmarking system look like if people were to try to contribute attacks to a benchmarking system? And would that be viable, or is the space of attacks, would it not be feasible to have standard data sets in it? Those are some of the more speculative things that came out too.
All right. So Katrina, just quick question. If folks want to follow up, continue the conversation, have whatever, education, maybe the Slack channel is a good spot. Okay. So OpenDP does have a Slack channel that says education. Please find it. The working group for privacy attacks also has a Slack channel. Questions, put in docs, volunteer for stuff, add more information. So those are your two paths. And we're going to close it out. Thank you, Chuck.
Cool. So on our morning session, Ilya concluded by knowing that we understand like 1% of how to apply DP to ML. We're about halfway through this session, so we're a little bit farther along. We've got another day tomorrow. We've gone beyond the largely technical discussions in TDDP to talk about how to get it out of the real world. Like one of the themes was like we learned from the experiential approach, the experimental approach helps us understand the theory side as well. We learned from the industry panel this morning, from Gary Howarth at NIST and Christine Task at Nexus. Tomorrow morning, we'll be picking up this thread with Mayana Pereira, talking about how they've used DP to enhance open data for social good. Jeremy Epstein will be following up with government actions to advance pets. And in the afternoon, there'll be a hackathon and another workshop on DP beyond algorithms. So show up here for breakfast 8:30 and beginning promptly at 9.